Hello everyone, and welcome to my 7.1 Soraka guide. My name is MorningBaconBits. I'm a master tier support player as well as the best Soraka in North America. In this guide, we will go into Soraka's kit, her different build paths, and what we want to be doing in and out of lane. If you know anyone that wants to play Soraka, feel free to show them this guide. Soraka is a support mage caster. She is the only real dedicated healer in the game. Starting off with her kit, we have her passive, Salvation. Soraka gains a 70% bonus movement speed buff when she moves towards allied champions below 40% health. Not much to say on this ability, it's just a nice quality of life passive for Soraka. It has its uses in lane, team fights, and roams. The range on it's kinda small, only being 2500, which is around a level 2 Caitlyn ulti. Starcall is a projectile on a 5-second cooldown that travels faster the shorter it's casted. When Starcall hits an enemy champion, Soraka gains Rejuvenation, which gives her a 10% bonus movement speed buff when not moving towards an enemy champion, as well as giving her a heal over time for 3 to 5 seconds. Starcall is good base damage, 70 at level 1 and 230 at level 5, and a decent AP scaling with a 0.35 ratio. The hot Rejuvenation gives scales with a 0.05 AP ratio. We will get over the math of this ability in the math section, but it's really strong, and this ability is a must-have at level 1. This ability should be taken at level 1 and maxed second. Soraka's W, Astral Infusion. Soraka heals an allied champion for 80 to 200 health, and applies the Rejuvenation buff if she has it on. This is the bread and butter of Soraka. Throughout her League of Legends history, she's always had this heal. The recent nerfs to the heal do hurt quite a bit, but it isn't that big of an issue once you get level 9 or a level 5 W. You can revert the nerfs and go back to having a 2-second spammable heal. It costs 10% of your maximum HP to cast. This really only becomes an issue in tank Soraka early, but we can cover that when we get to the playstyle section. This ability should be taken at level 2 or 3 and maxed first. Soraka's Equinox. Soraka drops an AoE silence on a long 24-second cooldown that does damage on cast and on the refresh. After 1.5 seconds after casting, the AoE silence turns into a root for 1 to 2 seconds. This is Soraka's only real tool of protecting herself if an assassin jumps on her, or a carry near her. People really underestimate the range of this ability, as the range of the ability being 925 is related to the center of the E rather than the whole circle. The whole circle deals damage. This ability should be taken at level 3 or level 2 and maxed last. Soraka's R, Wish. The top lane tilter, the anti-Karth assault. This is probably the reason why I enjoy playing Soraka so much. The pressure of this ability is huge. Soraka heals all allied champions, including untargetable allies and herself. Wish heals 50% more if the target is below 40% HP. Soraka's Wish is global, which gives her global pressure. She can turn the tide into 2v2, a 1v1, really easily with this. It has its offensive uses, the jungler and top laner want to dive top, and its defensive uses, the top laner gets dove. So before we start covering the rest of the guide, there's this section I kind of want to just go over. I want to call it Soraka Math, for lack of a better name. And this is just going to go over what isn't going to be important for the next few sections. So for the sake of this argument, we're going to be a level 1 Soraka with Q, going for an AP build. So at level 1, she has 16 AP with Spell Thieves, and her base health regen per 5 is 2.5. Now, we are going to take the Mastery Recovery to get an extra 2.0 per 5, and then in our runes, we take HP Regen Quints to give us an extra 8.1 per 5, as well as scaling HP Regen per 5, yellows to give us an extra 1 at level 1. So in total, we have a regen of 13.6 per 5, or 2.72 per second. Now if we land a Q on the enemy AD carry, we get Rejuvenation, and this is where it starts getting kind of fun. So Rejuvenation has a base heal of 7 per half second, but with the 16 AP we get an extra 0.8 per half second, totaling to 7.8 per half second over 3 seconds. So this would be 15.6 per second. So Soraka at level 1 has 529 health. If we were to drop that to say 400, we were to take 129 damage. If we were able to land a Q, we would get an inflated HP regen of 18.3 per second over 3 seconds. So in the duration of the Q, we would gain 55 health back, bringing us to 455, and then we wait 2 seconds for Star Call to be off CD, and in those 2 seconds, we will get an extra 5.5 health back, and we can do it again. So every Q is about a 60 health gain at level 1. However, with a potion, things get kind of fun. With a potion, we get 5 hit points per half second for 15 seconds, or for 16.5 with the mastery. And with the mastery, we also get a 15 health instant potion. So in total, with a health pot running in this 5-second window of Q landing, we have 28.3 health per second for 3 seconds, then 12.72 for the last 2, plus the 15 we get for a biscuit, so that's 125 health. And with the and with a pot running for 16.5, you can get the effect of this for a possible 3 times, with the latter 2 being 110 health. Or a total of 345 health over 15 seconds. And throughout all of this, we are doing damage. Every Soraka Q is doing around 75 damage, 85 with Spell Thieves, and our autos are doing 50, 60 with Spell Thieves. So in a Q and 2 autos, we'll be doing just about 185 damage, while healing for about 125 health. You can see in the clip how effective this really is, and this is just a level 1 Soraka. So, regarding the sake if we had an Ardent Sensor and a Crucible and a Redemption, shout out to user Yris for this explanation. I just kind of copy pasted it. Hopefully it helps you guys out. Ardent Sensor and Mikhail's Crucible do not have a named unique passive. As such, their healing power does stack with each other, but not with themselves. Unique passives from the same item do not stack. Unique named passives from different items do not stack. Unique passives without names from different items do stack. Examples for unique named passives: Enhanced Movement from Boots, Mana Charge from Tyr, Mana Mume, and Archangels, Spellblade from Sheen, Lichbane, and Trinity. Examples for unique passives without names: Lethality from Duskblade, Maw of Malmortius, Serrated Dirk, and Yomu's. Healing Power from Ardent's, Mikhail's, Redemption, and Forbidden Idol. In other words, buying Ardent, Mikhail's, Redemption, and Idol will give a plus 48% healing power. Buying Ardent Sensor 3 times will only give 10% healing power once. Buying 2 different items, Mikhail's and Athene's Unholy Grail, will only grant the named Harmony passive once. So, in this section, we're going to be talking about the different types of Soraka. There are 3 types of Soraka. As a disclaimer, you buy a lot of health pots on Soraka, unless you're playing a Warmog's tank variant. So for the builds I'm about to mention, try to always keep pots on you, and always have 5 if you're going to go siege or team fight. Soraka, for having such a simple kit, has a few ways to go about playing her. We will start off with AP focused Soraka. Soraka's abilities have good AP scaling. Mostly her W, a 0.6, and her R, a 0.55. So, if Soraka has 100 AP, and we assume she's level 18, her W will heal for 260 instead of 200, and her ulti will heal for 405, 607 if they're under the 40%. Her Q then would heal herself for 16 every half second for 5 instead of 11. Now, the reason why AP Soraka is my favorite way to play Soraka is because it's very efficient. Soraka heals using mana and her own life as a resource, making her squishy and prone to be low in engages. What AP Soraka allows you to do is get more healing off faster and more efficiently. AP Soraka is also the best Soraka in lane. Soraka's Qs hurt, but the hot is the real big thing here. As stated in the math previously, this allows Soraka to trade by herself and theoretically outdamage the enemy bot lane. For her build, you're going to want to start with a Spell Thieves and 3 potions. Then you go into a Dark Seal and a Frostfang. You go into Lucidity and or Moby Boots, and a Sightstone, which you eventually upgrade into an Eye with your Frostfang. You get a Redemption, whatever item you feel like you need, be it a Locket, Crucible, or Ardent. Build a Mage Eyes if you have 10 stacks and have both of your summoners up. A final build should look like this. The playstyle of AP Soraka is basically the embodiment of the white mage. You heal for a lot and you're annoying as hell. A good AP Soraka can single-handedly carry a game. You want to position with your carries in the backline, throwing out Qs to poke the opponent tanks and keeping your team full for the eventual fight. You are most strong in team fights, lane, sieging, and roaming. You are weak to split fights, poor positioning, and Baron fights. Up next we have Tank Soraka. This is the most friendly Soraka build for new players. This build revolves around Soraka getting a Warmogs to cap her health out at 3000 to get the bonus of the item. This basically makes Soraka a walking Nexus Fountain with minor mana issues. The build plays out a lot like Utility Soraka, which you will see next. But your main goal is to get Warmogs and 3k HP. So we start off with a coin, a Sightstone, Redemption, random HP item, and then a Warmogs. Then, by level 13, you should have your 3k HP. Her playstyle? It's pretty rough getting through the early part of the game, but you really start to shine when you get your Warmogs. You are hard to kill because you have so much AP, and you are so useful because when you're not in combat, you regen all your health back. You basically stay in the back and press W on your team using your E as a disruptor, and you don't have to be afraid to walk up and heal your front line because of your HP pool. Coming in last, we have Utility Soraka. Utility Soraka is a hybrid of the two previously stated, but rather than focusing on ability power or health points, she gets activatable items. This Soraka is the second easiest type of Soraka, or possible hardest, if you're bad at managing your items. Season 7 gave supports Redemption. It has plans to be nerfed in the PvE update, for good reason too. It's built on all three variants of Soraka because it's just that good. You can't really afford not to have it on any support champion. This is the strongest Soraka when versing a hard lane, i.e. Blitz, Zyra, Brand, or Draven. Your build should look like a coin into a Sightstone, into an eventual eye, Moby Boots or Lucidity Boots, Redemption, Locket, Crucible, and then Pots or an Ardent Sensor. It plays very much like AP Soraka. Things that will counter or be hard for a new Soraka player. Starting out as a Soraka player, there are a few things to look out for. Grievous Wounds is the big one here. The enemy support getting Ignite, or the enemy AD carry getting an Executioner's Calling early, could seem like the end of the world. Ignite is a summoner spell on around the same cooldown as your exhaust. So if you get ignited, just back up best you can, even if you have to blow your flash, and just regen and then go back into being aggressive. For Executioner's Calling, the debuff only lasts for about 3 seconds. Make short trades, and use the time when the debuff falls off to heal up your AD carry. Heavy engaged supports also are pretty tricky for new Soraka players. Leona, Alistar, Blitzcrank, Zyra, and Brand. The best way to play around this is to default to Utility Soraka and be passive in lane, only being aggressive when the CC is down. These are the only real big counters to Soraka early. The more you play, the easier they get over time. So for Soraka synergy and matchups, Soraka has a synergy with every AD carry in the game. Some of the better ones are Callista, it gives her a get out of jail free card, Jhin, it helps her line up her E very easily, and Draven, because Soraka can support Draven's aggressive playstyle. While you guys look over this, I want to talk about Soraka's hard matchups here. And all the enemies in between medium and hard are difficult until you learn their gimmick. Lucian, for example, when you walk up to Q him, he will probably dash into you. Once you learn how to play around this, he isn't very difficult. Twitch has stealth for his gimmick. Once you learn how to play safe, and know when his stealth is up, he shouldn't be very difficult either. Vayne is just like Lucian. Malzahar, his Voidlings do a lot of damage. However, once you learn how to run away from the Voidlings, the matchup isn't that difficult. And Vel'Koz, he's very good the farther away you are. So once you learn the sweet spot of being in between, he isn't that difficult. Now these hard matchups, Draven, Blitzcrank, Brand, and Zyra, it's always good to default to Utility Soraka, as it's going to be the most useful, and AP Soraka can't bully them out of lane as easily. Now, when should you play Soraka? Well, honestly, all the time. Soraka is a great champion right now. She fits into every team comp and counters a lot of champions. Playing in lane. Soraka should almost always be played as a bully, unless you're facing one of her hard matchups, harassing with Qs and autos and healing your AD carry when applicable. Soraka in lane is at her strongest level 1 to 3. If you see the opportunity for a kill, it's perfectly okay to take E as a level 2 ability. It's super unexpected, and it usually catches a lot of people off guard. If you're pushing early, make sure to have the river warded around 3 minutes to spot for the jungler. When you're level 6, make sure you're paying attention to the map and your allies' hit points. For early levels, you want to try and land your Q before you heal to get the max efficiency out of it, because the cooldown W has at level 1 is about 8 seconds. Playing out of lane. In teamfights, I'm trying to stay in a position where I can land my Qs and take minimal damage and W my carries. It's kinda odd, but it's a pretty fun in and out game. It's important to use your wish on your front line, as it's unsafe to go melee unless you are tank Soraka. Use your exhaust however you can, if it's on the front line diving or an assassin trying to burst you down. How to siege. When you start sieging, always try to have some health pots in your inventory. 3 to 5 usually, so you can regen the HP you're using to keep your siege alive. Your main goal is to make sure you don't get flanked with proper wards, and keep your front line and carries topped off. And make sure to use your E as a displacer when the enemy is trying to engage to stop the siege. Well, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Was it awkward for you? Because it was pretty awkward for me. This is my first time ever trying to make some kind of video content. But it was kind of enjoyable, actually. So, I'm probably going to make more in the near future. If you guys want to watch my stream, I stream pretty much daily on Twitch. And if you guys want to ask any questions there, you can go right ahead. And if you guys want to see more Soraka content, leave me some ideas down below. I have a couple ideas, maybe like a matchup video or an in-depth lane video, but yeah. Hopefully the video helped you guys out, and take care guys.